Indiana. Wherever you go in this state, from small towns to city centers, from generation to generation, Hoosiers are connected by a common interest, a passion for the game of basketball. This year, when Indiana's NBA franchise needed a new coach, they reached into the heart of their state and plucked a native son to lead their team to glory. Larry Bird talks softly, but makes his words count. His approach was right for the Pacers. They won 58 games, and Bird won the NBA's Coach of the Year award. But now, Bird faces the biggest challenge of his brief coaching career, leading his team back from an 0-2 deficit against the defending champs. The Pacers have had their chances in this series. They might have gotten out of Chicago with a split, but they didn't. So today, the Pacers look for ways to capitalize on their opportunities and ways to slow the league's MVP. And this time, there's an important difference. The Pacers are back home again in Indiana. Game 3 next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1998 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the Chicago Bulls versus the Indiana Pacers.
Market Square Arena, where the Pacers will try to get back in this series. Hey, you need tickets? Everybody needs tickets in Indianapolis this weekend, whether it's for games 3 and 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals or for tomorrow's Indy 500. And listen to them roar. It's almost a college-like atmosphere at Market Square Arena. They say that their fans are the NBA's loudest sixth man. And even before tip-off, listen to the decibel level here in Indiana as we welcome you to Game 3 with Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas. I'm Bob Costas. Zeke, it was frustrating for the Pacers in the first 2 games in Chicago. They led each at halftime, and in many ways, they outplayed the Bulls, but they come home down 0-2.
Bob, if you're the Indiana Pacers, you feel really good about your chances coming into today because you've outshot Chicago from the field, you've out-rebounded them, and you've held them to 18% from the three-point shooting line. Now, what does Indiana have to do? They have to come out and take better care of the basketball. Areas of concentration. They're averaging 23 turnovers a game. Now, I talked to Larry Bird, and he said this week they worked on the simple things. Passing, catching, setting screens, and making your open shots. Bob?
Hey, you can have a plan, you can have a strategy, it helps. But as Larry Bird, one of the greatest ever, knows, sometimes when great players play for the other side, there's nothing you can do.
Well, Bob, it's been the Bulls' dominating duo, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, and they've done it in different ways. Scottie Pippen on the defensive end against Mark Jackson. Here he gets the steal, leading to 2 points. The strip of Chris Mullin, and again the fast break. And Michael Jordan, look at the last 2 shots of Game 2 to seal the win. He gets up off the floor and scores, and then he drives baseline. His feet go out from underneath him, and he still gathers himself and shoots the ball. Now, what have the numbers been in this series? Mark Jackson, a 4-to-1 ratio all through the playoffs until the last 2 games, 14 assists, 14 turnovers. Michael Jordan, 36 points a game, 38% of the Bulls' offense. Now, that's up from 29% during the regular season. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, the best duo in the NBA.
Now, hoping we can hear him over the din, here's Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Bob. This thing is all about matchups, and the interesting matchup in this one is between Scottie Pippen and Mark Jackson. I talked to Mark Jackson before the game when he came in this morning. He was upbeat, very confident. I asked him about the adjustments that he might have to make. He said there is no adjustment. It's a man-to-man thing. He just has to get the ball up the court. Now, I asked Scottie about the lockdown that he's had on Mark Jackson the last 2 games and asked him if he planned on letting up. He said, yes, he did plan on letting up. He figured he'd let him out of lockdown Tuesday morning when hopefully this whole series is over. Bob?
But, of course, the Pacers don't plan for it to end here. They want to go back to Chicago. We're back with the starting lineups and the opening tip-off right after this.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that a Miller time can be anything you want as long as it feels good. By the full line of vehicles from Mitsubishi, built for living. And by Sun America.
Welcome back to Market Square Arena. And here's Chicago's lineup for Game 3. Michael Jordan, who averaged just over 28 a game to lead the league for a 10th time this year during the regular season, at 36 points a game through the first 2 games of this series. And Dennis Rodman, as Zeke mentioned in the opening, is back in the starting lineup. That means Kukoc will come off the bench. Phil Jackson, with 5 NBA titles already, no coach, save for Red Auerbach with 9, has had more than that. Mark Jackson, with the best assist-to-turnover ratio of any point guard in the Eastern Conference during the regular season, is at 1-to-1. Exactly as many assists and turnovers through the first 2 games with Scottie Pippen all over it. Smits will score. He doesn't give you much rebounding or in terms of shot blocking. Larry Bird, 3-time MVP, 3-time NBA titleist with the Celtics, and the NBA's Coach of the Year in this his rookie season. The Bulls are 9-1 in the playoffs, 3-0 on the road, and they've shot better away from the United Center, 53% in their 3 road playoff wins. Almost everybody says this is a great building in which to shoot. Soft rims, dark background. The officials are Dick Bavetta, Ronnie Garrettson, and Bernie Fryer. Pippen confronts Jackson. Smits back up top to Jackson. Now Rodman's got him on a switch. And they turn it over. Bad sign on the first possession. Pull up Michael. 2-0 Chicago. Here's Reggie back to Jackson for 3. He is sometimes a reluctant shooter, but if you dare him, he will.
That's a big shot for Mark Jackson because he just had a turnover, and now he came back and hit a 3. And it's important for him to keep his confidence throughout the game.
Miller is on Michael, puts it behind his back, 2 to shoot. And on the miss, it's Dale Davis. Now that time, Indiana had time to set up their half-court defense, which is very good. Miller hits the 3 out of the corner.
Transition offense, that's what the Pacers want to do. Push the ball up the floor quickly. Reggie spotting at the 3-point line. Mark Jackson with a great assist.
A pair of 3s, Jackson and Miller. And the Pacers have a 6-2 lead. Longley had it knocked out of bounds on him. The one basket the Bulls have came after a turnover in transition before the Pacers could set their defense up. Pippen driving and hitting. Miller with Harper on him, shoots on the run and draws the foul. Reggie claiming that it was an active shooting foul.
You see Scottie Pippen on the play that Mark Jackson hits the 3. He's going to follow the pass, always knowing where Reggie Miller is. So Mark Jackson will have that shot. And then Reggie spotting up the penetrating drive. This time Reggie Miller gets his feet together and knocks in the shot. That's a big confidence boost for this Pacer team.
Doug, what you just saw is that Reggie Miller isolated Ron Harper. You see they want to get Reggie involved early. The backcourt only has 27 points compared to Chicago's 47. So they want to get Reggie involved early, and this is a great start for Miller and both Jackson.
Miller was afraid they might have called that Pacer ball on the side, but they did rule it active shooting, and he converts both free throws. Michael is open. He's hit 2 of his first 3. Smits working on Longley, and the hook rolls home.
That was the most assertive move I've seen by Rick Smits in the first 2 games of this series. He has to do that, Bob. He cannot give up on his post play. He must demand the basketball.
And Doug, you know what I like? He scored in the double team. He resisted the temptation to pass and scored when there was 2 people guarding.
Longley can't answer. Rodman battling Jackson, rebounding foul on Dennis.
Look at the post position that Smits gets. He turns in, Scottie Pippen comes down, and he steps through the double team. That's the old Kevin McHale move. You punish it by stepping through it. Scottie got a bad angle. Rick Smits got the 2 points.
Miller on the drive. Indiana has hit its first 4 field goal attempts.
That was a great up fake by Reggie Miller. He throws Ron Harper, faded to the corner, and then dribbled to the baseline.
I'll tell you, the Bulls are executing beautifully here, though, offensively in this first quarter. They've got tremendously high percentage shots, and everyone is involved. Pippen and Jordan both have 2 field goals.
Jackson comes off a screen, then slings it back to Mullen. Reggie. 3 for 3 on his home court after shooting just 9 for 27 through the first 2 in Chicago.
Well, the first thing you notice about that play is Reggie Miller handled the ball. And the screen that freed up Mark Jackson was a bruising screen by Rick Smits, is what Larry Bird talked about.
Michael, the fadeaway on Reggie. Knocked out of bounds by Indiana, still Chicago ball.
Now Larry Bird told us he wanted his team to set hard screens. You see Chris Mullin steps and put his body right into Scottie Pippen. That's how the Pacers has to play.
Well, one of the things the Pacers have done today is they've gone to seek the guy and screen him rather than stand there and wait for the guy to use the screen.
Down. Pippen's down.
Chicago.
Trainer Chip Schaefer out to take a look. Here it is. Let's see if we can determine what happened.
You see Scottie's trying to fight through a screen, and Rick Smits sticks his hip out. Kind of knocked the wind out of Scottie, I believe. Anytime you get hit like that and you're moving, you get hit right in the stomach. It's like a boxer taking a punch right in the stomach.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that's anything that Rick Smits did at all. He was really just standing there, and Scottie made the contact to him, so I don't think Chicago has any kind of beef at all on that play.
But that's 2 times right now that they put Pippen on the floor. And let's see if that will lighten the pressure that he'll have on Mark Jackson in the backcourt.
Scottie stays in, handling the ball against Mullen. Harper. Longley. 14-10 Pacers. They push it up the floor, but Chicago gets back.
Now you see Michael Jordan playing Mark Jackson, giving Scottie a little bit of a rest here.
From Jackson.
See, Doug, I like what the Pacers are doing. They're moving Mark Jackson all around. They're not isolating him at the top. They're moving him to the wing. Consequently, he's able to get into the lane and free up shots for others.
Longley can't hit it. The tip doesn't drop. Pippen comes away with it. And now he's coming to the foul line. But first we'll step aside. The Pacers are 6 of 6 from the field, and they lead by 6.
Reggie Miller has gotten off to a wonderful start, and I think he's showing much more patience here early in the game. You see him spotting up for the three. He told us yesterday, I've got to make it my open shots. The pump fake and the little leaner. That's the patented Reggie Miller. Now the pump fake, escape dribble, get away from the defense, and bury the open shot. So good early signs here for the Pacers. Reggie Miller 9 for 27 in the first 2 games. He's 3 for 3 today. Mark Jackson 3 assists and only 1 turnover.
It's amazing how Reggie Miller, when he returns home, becomes a different player. Very confident. And I never could understand why is that, Doug? Why when you play at home you feel better than when you do on the road?
I think it's more your routine, that you're in your routine that you want to be in. The way you go to the games, the way you eat, when you eat, being at home. I think sometimes when guys get on the road, it disrupts the routine, and they don't do as well.
Oh, it's not only that, the shooting background, familiarity with spots on the floor, and the home crowd. Combination of things. 1 of 2 at the line for Pippen. 16-11, Indiana. And the crowd erupts because Pippen is called for the foul on Jackson, and that's what Larry Bird has been complaining about in the days prior to Game 3. As Larry put it, I'd like to see Scottie Pippen play Michael Jordan all over the floor the way he's been playing Mark Jackson and not have fouls called. Jackson drives past Pippen and scores.
When a guy gets up and crowds you like that, you've got to punish him, and you've got to take the ball to the basket. There is no offense to that. You have to play, break it down and play simple freelance basketball.
And Mark Jackson being smart enough to recognize that Pippen had just picked up a foul, took it right to him.
Michael shot it long, and Smits pulls it in. Reggie. A whistle, though, before he can get the shot off. Offensive foul. Dale Davis picks it up.
Now, Mark Jackson knew that Scottie Pippen just picked up a foul. So what does he do? Okay, I'm going to take it to the basket now because Pippen is up on me. Forcing the official to either call another foul or let Scottie Pippen give me a free lane to the basket.
But did you see what Scottie did? He got over and was playing the pass. He knew that Reggie was coming off the screen. He shadowed it. Mark Jackson still had his dribble alive, so he could take the ball right to the basket.
You know, Dale Davis just picked up an offensive foul, and I bet you Larry Bird smiled because it was on the screen, and he wants his players to be very aggressive.
Long tap back out to Harper. And a Chicago turnover. The foul on Dale Davis was his second. He's replaced by Antonio Davis.
This is very familiar territory for the Pacers right now. All 3 games, they have been right here. The key is going to be, can they maintain it throughout?
Jackson short with the 3. Michael. Jackson knocked it away. Loose ball to Antonio Davis. So not only is it a Chicago turnover that pleases the Market Square Arena crowd, but they took it from Michael. Miller, lots of room. The first shot they've missed in this first quarter. Longley with Smits up on it. And he's held by Miller as he tries to spin to the basket.
A very subtle thing Luke Longley did that time. The cutter went around him. Isaiah, he faked the pass to him. Both guys went with him, relieved the pressure, and he looked to take it to the basket and got the foul. That was a nice little move by Luke Longley.
And Doug, you know, that's something that they work on every single day in practice, that type of footwork.
Harper gets free inside. And the Pacer lead is sliced to 5. Mullen doesn't get the roll. Antonio Davis wins the rebound battle and scores.
How about the fight of Davis when Rodman inside? Davis just out-muscled Rodman in there, and Phil Jackson expected this type of surge. You see Rick Smits there hammer Scottie Pippen going into the basket.
I think Antonio Davis has been their best player in these first 2 games and absolutely their most consistent. You see the effort, Isaiah, what you talked about. Normally that's Dennis Rodman being able to come up with that basketball. That time, Tony Davis, he got his team 2 points.
Phil Jackson said he expected a big early surge, and his hope was that the Bulls could stay in the game and be around close enough in the fourth quarter to have a chance to win it once the early emotion wore off a little bit.
Well, anytime you have 23 in red, you know that if there's 5 minutes left to go in the game, he can erase any deficit that you have.
Already you see the chess game. The minute Travis Best comes in, you see Randy Brown to play against him defensively with his quickness, but that does not matter.
Best blew right by him, but couldn't finish it.
Use the backboard on that play.
And Chicago throws it away as Brown can't latch on to Pippen's pass. Miller looking to inbound quickly. Mullen. Contact but no foul. Longley saves it to Pippen. It's a 3-on-1 with only Best back. And Pippen slams it in his face. Plus the foul.
Plus the exclamation point. Wow, this was unbelievable by Scottie Pippen. He gives the ball up a little prematurely to Michael Jordan, right back, and look at Scottie Pippen with the wingspan and the long arm, and Travis Best, nothing he can do. He even tried to take the foul, and Scottie just went right through him.
How about the position Travis Best was in? Do I let Michael Jordan dunk over me, or do I let Scottie Pippen dunk over me?
Or do I act like I twisted my ankle and fall down?
Best out of the backcourt. And Pippen reaches in and fouls Smits. Or was it Longley who picks up the foul? Longley's raising his hand, hoping they call it on him, but it's Pippen.
Now, one of the problems in being a great defender is when they read about you all week long, the official has a tendency to pay a lot more attention to you when you're out on the court. So Scottie Pippen comes into this game with a red flag on his back. Thus, Kukoc comes in now because Scottie has picked up his second foul.
And Derek McKee makes his first appearance for Indiana at the same time.
Looks like matchup-wise, they'd like Derek McKee to play Tony Kukoc as a small forward. So both of these coaches now thinking matchups.
Miller going to work on Jordan. Bumps and throws it up, misses off the glass. Antonio Davis is there, though.
Now, Rick Smits came over that time to give Reggie Miller a screen, and he waved it off because he wanted to play one-on-one against Jordan.
Smits turns, shoots, and is fouled. Longley picks up his first, and we step aside. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Now, Phil Jackson made the decision to start Dennis Rodman, and thus far he hasn't really been a factor. I think Rodman is really trying to get his rhythm in this series. He didn't start the first 2 games. He likes to be in the midst of the action, and him coming in right now, I think he's really lost his timing and his rhythm, and it's going to take him a while before he can really get into this game, Doug.
And these are the kind of games when he's sort of going through one of these games that he may be getting into a little bit of a bumping contest or pick up a technical, because he's at his best really when he's on the edge, not stepping over the edge, but on the edge. And right now, the look on his face is he's not in this game right now.
And I know from being a starter, anytime that you come off the bench, as you talked about earlier, having your game routine and your home routine, Dennis Rodman has a game routine that he's developed over a period of 9-10 years, and now he's not starting, and he's trying to develop that again.
And of course, his home routine is an entirely different matter, which would require many hours of examination to fully understand. Pacers by 6 after Smits hits the free throws following the Longley foul. Michael. Randy Brown. Give Jordan the assist, Brown the basket.
They're going to run a high screen roll here. See if they can free Smits for a jump shot rolling back.
Longley hooks it, or Smits hooks it, I should say, over Longley, and it's an air ball.
Got to be stronger with his shots, Bob. He's got to go in there. He's got to make Luke Longley. They're fouling. It was a weak shot he threw up the basket.
At the other end, there's a whistle from Bernie Fryer.
He gets great position here in the low block. You see him sort of flailing away with Luke Longley. Luke changing his position. Just take your time. Luke Longley's not going to block that shot. Turn around, stroke that little jump shot.
Not only did he not take his time, Larry Bird took him out because he missed his assignment. He didn't run back to cover Luke Longley. Reggie Miller was guarding him, and then he got back late. Thus, when they made the pass over to Randy Brown, Travis Best had to pick up the foul.
Which was 2 on Best. And the Bulls are back within 2. Best to the hoop. And he will shoot free throws. For complete coverage of the NBA Conference Finals, you can go online and step into the NBA.com arena. Listen to a live audio broadcast, view real-time stats or shot charts, and watch video highlights of every contest. After the game, look for news, photos, notes, and interviews. NBA.com, your ultimate guide to the NBA playoffs. The foul on Longley was his second.
Isaiah, one of the things I've seen early in this game now is they're doing a lot of screening on the ball with Dennis Rodman's man. Dennis Rodman is a very good defender when he's on the ball. He's also an excellent rebounder. He does not like to jump out on that screen roll because it takes him away from the basket. Twice now, Travis Best has gotten into the lane with Rodman's man screening.
And you know what else Indiana is doing, Doug? They're also putting their body on the man. You know, when they go to set the screen now, they're putting their body on them and they have a wide base. They're not waiting for the screen to come. They're going and putting their body on them.
Longley, Pippen, Harper, all on the bench right now. Mark Pope in, guarding Kukoc. Long one by Jordan from just inside the three-point line, no good. Antonio Davis crashing the boards. Best around Brown, Best into the lane, Best lays it up, and McKee follows. Best still battling, but it's Scott Burrell out of the pack. Jordan with McKee on him. They swing it around to Burrell for 3. And there's a push on the rebound.
It's going to be on Reggie Miller.
Now, what you notice, Doug, is that Indiana came out and had a really good start. But you look at Chicago and you say, guess what? If we make these 2 free throws, we're only down 2 points.
After picking up his second foul, Reggie Miller goes out. 58 seconds to play in the first quarter. Jalen Rose is in.
You know, Bob, you sort of touched on it. When we talked to Phil Jackson yesterday, he said we want to hang around. And the words he used is we want to be close enough in the fourth. Make them think about losing the basketball game. And that's what you want to do when you have a team down 0-2. Make them think about being 0-3.
Michael for a breather now at the end of the first. After making their first 7 shots in this quarter, the Pacers have now missed 10 of their last 11. Here's Mark Pope putting an end to that streak.
If a team is going to trap you, you cannot catch the ball and then try to reset your offense. You've got to get the ball and you've got to go right to the front of the basket, and that's what Mark Pope did. That was a nice aggressive play.
Burrell in a crowd. Out to Harper. 8 on the 24. Kukoc, finger roll.
Mark Pope fell asleep on that play. Weak side flash by Tony Kukoc. Just a naked cut to the basket, and Mark Pope had turned his head.
The rookie from Kentucky caught defensively. Jalen Rose dishes to Best and gets it back. Game clock overlaps the shot clock by 5 seconds, and Rose travels.
Now in this series, Bob, Chicago has been terrific on end of quarter plays. In fact, Michael Jordan hit one at the end of every quarter the other night. If they can score here, they'll either tie the game, or if they hit a 3, they could go up 1. That would be a huge boost for the Bulls, and I think it'll be a little deflating for Indiana because they've played well.
Phil Jackson brings Steve Kerr and Judd Bushler off the bench for this last possession.
2 3-point shooters. Let Kukoc penetrate if they help find the 3-point shooter.
Kukoc to Kerr, 4 seconds on the run. Loose ball, Indiana has it, and the quarter ends with the Pacers in front by 2. Pippen and Miller, neither one of whom shot especially well. In fact, they both shot poorly through the first 2 games in Chicago. Each opens hot in the first quarter here at Market Square. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Now the big thing in this series has been turnovers. Not for Chicago, but for Indiana. But Chicago has come out and turned the tables. They're not handling the ball well. Indiana is applying pressure. Chicago already has committed 4 turnovers in the first quarter. Indiana wants to turn Chicago over, get into transition, because they feel that they're shooting a higher percentage in transition and for the course of the game. They're shooting 48% during this series.
Now remember this, the Pacers and Bulls split 4 regular season games, and one of the 2 Indiana losses was close, in doubt, right to the last possession here at Market Square. The first 2 games in this series, although they lost them both, the Pacers led each at the half. They do not yet feel that they are overmatched by the Bulls. They still believe they have a chance. Michael fires as the second quarter begins, and Antonio Davis is there yet again for the rebound. That's his 5th.
With that big stat, though, no points off turnovers for the Bulls. That is huge for the Pacers in that first quarter.
McKee goes to work.
How about
it's Davis again chasing it down. Travis Best.
That's the extra possession, the extra shot. Remember, Chicago had 25 more field goal attempts. That's how you get more attempts. Come up with loose balls.
Bill Wennington, his first appearance and his first basket.
Coming up with those extra attempts and starting Rodman, now you have Antonio Davis playing against Tony Kukoc or Bill Wennington off the bench, and he should be able to dominate the board.
McKee, height advantage on Michael. Shoots it over him and connects.
Yeah, I like that strategy. Even though Michael is one of the better defenders in the game, make him play both ends. Do not let him conserve any energy.
Best is on Kerr. McKee at 6'10", guarding the 6'6" Jordan. Kukoc lets go and swishes it home for 3. A 1-point game now.
Going right back into the post here. A cross screen for Derek McKee. Going to make Michael Jordan play a little more post defense.
Burrell now is on McKee. Woo! Cross court for Pope, who saves it into Rose for the jumper. Had to force it up to beat the shot clock, and it didn't draw iron, so it's a 24-second violation.
You see what happened on that cross screen. When they cross screen, Michael Jordan just switched and let Scott Burrell play against Derek McKee. McKee was forced into a tough pass. They got a shot clock violation. That's their 4th turnover.
Steve Kerr on the floor right now has had his minutes curtailed in this series because of the great job Pippen has done defensively on Mark Jackson, and because the matchup isn't all that favorable for him against Travis Best, who's a bit too quick for him. But Kerr is on the floor now, head-to-head against Best. Michael from the head of the key. He's now hit 3 of 8 in the game.
That was a beautiful back cut by Michael Jordan. Jab step, fake McKee over the pick, then step back for the J. Beautiful.
Chicago has its first lead since 2-0. Rose, tough shot off the baseline, and Indiana jumps back in front.
The Pacers keep waiting for Jalen Rose to deliver. He's had 2 good games in the playoff. The other 9 have been very subpar, shooting 36%.
Michael fouled.
Now, what makes Michael Jordan so great as a basketball player is he's so smart. He gives McKee the fake, loses him, ghosts, for the J.
Isaiah, the great footwork here.
Watch as he goes to McKee. Bam, I'm gone. The other way.
The last foul was on McKee. Michael will be on the free throw line when we come back.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. And by Home Depot, America's home improvement coach.
Let's take a look at the game's greatest player, Michael Jordan, and the way he scores and passes for this Bulls team. The little fading jump shot, he misses. The give and go with Scottie Pippen in the three-point play. He finds Randy Brown. And then Isaiah Thomas talked about his beautiful footwork and the jump shot. When you look at his shot chart, it's very interesting. Today, no shots here inside the paint. One a little bit close here. So they've done a nice job of making him do everything on the perimeter.
The foul against McKee just before the timeout came prior to the shot. So Jordan is not at the line. Instead, the Bulls inbound. And it's Michael with the ball. Curve from Kukoc. He needs just a little bit of daylight. That's all he needs to really hurt you.
And see, Steve Kerr thinks like a shooter. I read an article today, and he said, you know, I love shooting in Market Square. The background, the soft rims. He said, I love to shoot here.
Chicago by 2. After the basket by the all-time career leader in three-point percentage in NBA history. Jalen Rose around Jordan and off the glass. Michael rolls it up. Contact and a foul. It's number 2 on Derek McKee, and tomorrow on Meet the Press, or Press. Either way, Tim Russert will speak with 2 retired Secret Service agents from the Reagan era about defending against the possibility of assassination and testifying in a trial in which a president is being investigated. Also, Deputy Attorney General Holder discusses the recent wave of school violence. Check your local listings for the time in your area. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press here on NBC.
Now, if I'm the Indiana Pacers right now, I am really afraid because we're playing as well as we possibly can play, but we're still down 2, and Chicago has yet to play as well as they can.
And now the Pacers turn it over.
Jalen Rose had a shot there. He tried to be unselfish. He's hit his last 2 shots. Let it go.
Kerr lets it go, but this time he misses the 3. Rose flings it ahead. Davis is able to save it, but has no shot. Rose does.
There you go. Shoot it. Worst thing that can happen, Bob, is that you miss.
Ties it at 36.
Doug, you would think like that because you were a shooter. That's all you did was shoot.
I always worked on the saturation theory. The more you got up, the more went in, Isaiah.
Kukoc cans the 3. Kukoc suffering through a shooting slump. Was just 7 of 23 through the first 2 games of this series. And still bothered a bit by a bad back, which has troubled him throughout the playoffs.
That was an offensive foul right there, Bob, on Travis Best, trying to set a screen. Steve Kerr locked him up, pushed him right through the screen, and here comes Mark Jackson. You see it left of the screen. You see Best trying to set the screen. Steve Kerr is in his way, and he just gives him a forearm shiver.
3 fouls now on Best. It's been interesting that all the while that Scottie Pippen has been on the bench, Best has been running the attack for Indiana. Rather than getting Jackson back in there when he wouldn't have to worry about Pippen, or forcing Phil Jackson to bring Pippen back off the bench. Here's Michael going to work as only he can.
Now let's see if Mark Jackson tries to do what he did in the first 2 series. Back the smaller guard down, forced him to give help, and then look for the shooter.
moves around Michael, but Kerr comes over to slap it free. Now here's Kukoc. Only Jackson is back. Pull up on him. And Antonio Davis is there to clear it. In the lane, Davis, and a foul.
Michael Jordan with the isolation. If you're going to give him this kind of time, he will find a way to get in the lane. The ball's knocked away twice. He sizes him up between the legs. Little give and go. The left-handed Scottie Pippen absolutely loves what he sees. And the Chicago Bulls lead by 5. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Back at Market Square Arena, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bulls leading the Pacers by 5 and leading the series, as you know, 2-0.
Bob, it's going to be very important now. The Bulls have taken the lead. Reggie Miller's set for 6 minutes, okay? He had a great roll. He was off to a good start. Now he's got to get himself right back in the game. He's got to get a sweat again. He can't let himself drift over these last 6 minutes. They need his points.
Not only do they need his points, but they need Chris Mullin to give them some points, too. Chris Mullin has played 9 minutes and hasn't scored a point or gotten a rebound. Kukoc, on the other hand, in 9 minutes has 10 points.
Antonio Davis hits 1 of 2. Rodman to Jordan. Into the lane goes Michael. Tough fadeaway is short. And Dale Davis is there to take it. Antonio Davis. Reggie Miller on the assist, and the Pacers are back to within 2.
See, Davis being guarded by Kukoc inside. Davis just has too much power and strength for him. Kukoc didn't want to put a body on him, therefore gave him an easy layup.
Pippen back in. Jackson leaning on him. Gets a return pass from Kukoc. Swatted away by Antonio Davis on the help. Here's Rose. Dishing to Jackson, who ties the game.
You can talk about Miller, Jackson, and Smith, but the MVP for the Indiana Pacers is Antonio Davis.
Timeout, Chicago.
Hi, I'm Hannah Storm in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll get the latest from Los Angeles on the Western Conference Finals between the Jazz and Lakers. Utah leads it 3-0 and can sweep L.A. with a win at the Forum tomorrow afternoon. Also, we'll break down the first half in Indiana between the Bulls and Pacers. It's all tied up at 41 as we send you back to Bob, Doug, Isaiah, and Ahmad.
And when you talk about the heart and soul of the Indiana Pacers, it's Antonio Davis. Watch as he appears from nowhere. Tell Scottie to get it out of here. Actually, he leaves Tony Kukoc, and he comes and he says, Scottie, we're still here. And it leads to this in transition. You see Jalen Rose picks the ball up, and he'll dish it off to Mark Jackson. Mark gives him a pump fake, wait, shoots it right in the hole. And the Pacers are back in this ball game, tied at 41-41 with 5 to go before we get to the half.
Chicago puts it back in play, and Jordan quickly into the lane, dishing off to Rodman for 2.
I think Rodman got away with a 3-second violation that time. Michael got in the air and got bailed out.
That was Michael's 5th assist. Still Pacer ball.
Now, Bob, if Mark Jackson is going to be the post feeder, he cannot stand because Scottie Pippen is going to help back. So he has got to find an open area, and he'll be able to get the open shot. If he stands, Scottie Pippen will disrupt the play.
Miller, catch, shoot, score.
I like that, though. 2 straight plays for Reggie Miller. Get him right back involved. They ran a post play for him, and then an inline out of bounds.
Pippen missed the foul line jumper. He was just 7 of 27 in the first 2 games in Chicago. He got him going with a couple of drives and an alley-oop. Now he's splattered by a backcourt pick. And here's Dale Davis at the other end missing. Rodman has it. Pippen sprints back and loses his footing. Miller has it. Back the other way we go. Rose, Miller, fake on Michael, and they throw it away.
Scottie Pippen, he slipped on the floor right where he fell. Dale Davis got him on the back pick. Dennis Rodman, who's guarding Dale Davis, failed to come up and hollers, pick, pick. And Dale Davis lays him out, and you see the wet spot on the floor. And he gets the fast break, and he runs right back over the wet spot where he left before, and he slides and falls. But the Indiana Pacers failed to take advantage of it as they throw it away again.
Now, I'm sure you wouldn't have said anything to Dennis Rodman had he not called out that screen when you were guarding the ball coming up the floor. Right?
I would have been all in his chest.
And a foul is called on Mark Jackson, which is his first. Pippen triggers it in. Bounce pass to Longley, and Luke with the left hand gives Chicago a 4-point lead.
Now you watch Scottie Pippen guard Mark Jackson now. His hand will always be on the swivel looking for that back pick.
Miller for 3. Not there. Jordan back the other way. Michael spinning, shooting, and hitting.
Doug, right now Chicago's going for blood. They smell it, and they can put a run on right here. Indiana has to make a basket to stop it.
It spins out for Jalen Rose, leading by 6. Here come the Bulls. Pippen to Harper, who's wrapped up by Jackson.
Now remember, Chicago took a timeout they normally don't take. Phil Jackson normally lets them play through it. It was 41-all. We see the fast break here. Michael Jordan just overpowers really 4 Indiana Pacer defenders. But Bob, to finish the thought, 41-all. They take the timeout. They've come out of that with an 8-2 spurt, a chance to shoot 2 free throws here. And what Isaiah's talking about here, it's going into halftime. They are trying to make their push right now to give themselves some space.
When we talked to Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller yesterday, the thing that they both were concerned about is this Chicago spurt, this Chicago run. Let's see if they can match their intensity.
Now, the forgotten man right now for Indiana has been Rick Smits. Through all this going up and down, when they've gotten into the half court, he has not touched the ball. They can't lose him. They need his scoring.
Chicago by 8. Pippen again glued to Jackson. Harper up on Miller. There's contact and a foul, which Harper disputes. Reggie kicked the ball toward Dick Pavetta.
Veteran official calls delay a game instead of technical. Realizing that Reggie Miller was upset, could have teed him up. He said, no, I'm going to call delay a game.
But you see Ron Harper up on Reggie Miller, taking away that right hand, forcing him left. Reggie Miller likes to drive right. Ron Harper won't let him go.
Now that's their second delay a game, so I think that will be a technical foul.
Phil Jackson up off Chicago's bench to make that case.
Second delay a game.
Didn't earlier in the game, didn't Mark Jackson score and leave the ball underneath the basket? I thought they called an earlier delay a game.
Now Pavetta is motioning Jackson over. He's explaining that they were only adjusting the clock.
That's not considered a delay a game warning.
They had one there.
That's the first, so it's not a
This one right here.
This was a delay a game warning. It's only their first.
What was the first one?
Stop the clock.
They were adjusting the clock the first time. It was not technically a delay of game, therefore this is not the second, and therefore no technical foul shot is taken.
I always loved playing in a game that Dick Pavetta was refereeing, because he had total command of the game. And Pippen is limping a little bit.
Luke Longley is hit with the personal. That's his third.
Let's see what happened to Scotty here. He gets a knee right in the knee on Chris Mullen.
But the foul on Longley was away from the play. Bill Wennington back in. Longley out with the 3 fouls. Kukoc also up off the bench. And Pippen, hobbling a bit, leaves.
You see Luke Longley just blast through Reggie Miller. That's the foul. Rick Smith must score against Bill Wennington. They've got to go to him on the low post.
You see Harper pushing him left again.
And Michael Jordan out of the pack with the ball. Behind his back, into the lane, off balance, and missing badly. Nothing but air. Jackson slings it to Mullen. Pull up 3. Chris Mullen has it. Only Dale Ellis of the Sonics shot 3s more accurately in the entire league this year than did Mullen.
Bob, before the game, I came out and Chris Mullen was here an hour before, and I watched him make 25 straight 3s.
The steal. Jackson, Smits, but they break it up, and there's a foul.
See, the spacing on that fast break was poor. Mark Jackson should have took that ball a little bit out one step further. Therefore, they would have had better spacing.
Foul on Jordan, his first. Mullen into Jackson on the drive, throws it up and somehow hits it off the glass. Harper. Jordan shows it to him, drives past him, and a foul. The Pacers are within 3. And tonight on CNBC, on the Olympic show, we'll take a look back at perhaps the greatest team ever assembled in any sport. The 92 Dream Team from the Barcelona Olympics. That's the Olympic show tonight on CNBC. Jordan hits the first. 6 Dream Teamers are still involved in the 98 playoffs, counting Larry Bird as a coach.
And on that team, in my opinion, you had the greatest winners ever in the sport of basketball, with the exception of Bill Russell and Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson.
Jordan hits them both. Chicago by 5. And Jordan with 14 first half points.
They got Tony Kukoc now against Mark Jackson. Cleared out there, let him take him.
Miller to Smits. Tried to get it back to him, but they lost it. Kukoc. Wennington. Rodman cleans up the mess. And it's Chicago by 7. Meanwhile, Rick Smits has only 2 field goal attempts in this half.
See, as the tempo of the game has gotten up, they've really forgotten about throwing in the basketball.
Hold on, illegal defense. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. It has been a tough physical battle for Scottie Pippen during the first half. He's just gone to the locker room. He has a strawberry on his hip that he got when on that breakaway where he slipped and fell on the floor. Has a big strawberry. They're back in the back taking care of it, and I'll keep you up posted whether or not he'll be able to return. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. That was the first illegal defense call, so just a warning against Chicago. The next one would bring a technical. And Rodman now picks up a foul as soon as they inbound. That's 2 on him. I'm thinking this hairstyle is some sort of homage to the Cincinnati Bengals helmets. But then again, Dennis often has his own reasons.
You watch the back pick by Reggie Miller, and again, that was a kind of a weak foul.
With all the contact we've seen today.
that was really weak. And Rodman, you have a right to be upset on that one.
And
that's the kind of foul you get only because you're Dennis Rodman. No one else in the league would get that, only Dennis.
And he saunters to the end of the bench. Reggie Miller makes it 55-50.
Michael Jordan probably go a 2-for-1 possession here with the shot clock where it is.
Trying to split two defenders, and Reggie Miller literally hopping mad as the foul is called. It's on Smits, his second.
Michael Jordan comes around the screen. Is going to take the ball behind his back, and he trips over Rick Smits' foot.
And that's the kind of call you get when you're Michael Jordan. You have the Dennis Rodman call and the Michael Jordan call.
Misses the first. Judge for yourself.
See, I thought Smits was there. I think Jordan tried to split him and he lost control of the basketball.
Really, Michael had no place to go. He was trying to get to an opening really that wasn't there.
Rodman quickly back. Chicago by 6. High scoring first half. Jackson racing to the bucket and hitting. Mark Jackson very assertive on offense in this first half in terms of getting his own shot.
Well, he got it quickly enough to where it gives him a 2-for-1 possession. There's a 3.6 differential in the clock.
Michael against Reggie. Fadeaway baseline. Overshot it. Rebound scooped up by Burrell. 2 seconds. Michael beats the horn and misses.
Bob, that was great defense by Reggie Miller on that sequence. Played Jordan to a standstill.
Jordan had an open look, but couldn't put that one down. Now stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report. Coming up after these messages, you're watching the NBA on NBC.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
It's halftime of Game 3 with the Bulls leading the Pacers 56-52. Michael Jordan leads all scorers with 15 points, but he's shooting just 5 for 14. Reggie Miller leads the Pacers with 13 points, even though he's only taken 8 shots from the field. Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm back once again with John Sally, Peter Vesey, and Matt Gukas, and we'll hear their thoughts on the first half in Indiana a bit later on. But first, the Western Conference Finals between the Jazz and the Lakers. Last night, Utah played one of its best games of the playoffs and won on LA's home court to take a commanding 3-0 lead. Game 4 is tomorrow at the Forum. Tom Hammond, Steve Jones, and Bill Walton have more on the Jazz and Lakers.
Hannah, we're outside the Forum enjoying a little Southern California weather. You know, the Lakers came into this series as the hottest team in the playoffs. Well, the Jazz doused that flame in a hurry. They've out-hustled the Lakers and generally given them a lesson in basketball 101. The interesting thing is, Steve, it hasn't been just John Stockton and Karl Malone. It's been a lot of different ones.
Well, it has been a lot of different players. You know, Jerry Sloan has said all year long, if we're going to do well, I need everybody on this team to compete. And suddenly we're getting new household names. Shandon Anderson, well, Greg Ostertag, he's back in the picture. Antoine Carr, Howard Isley, you name anybody in purple, and they know how to play basketball, and they work the team game right down to the bone, and the Lakers now have a major headache.
Well, the Jazz have had a lot of heroes, but for the Lakers, it's basically been just Shaquille O'Neal.
Tom, the Utah Jazz have beaten the Los Angeles Lakers at their own game. It seems like it was just a week ago when the Lakers were up and down the court in that beautiful and effortless transition game. They were shooting the spot-up threes, made wide open because of Shaq's dominating presence inside. But the Utah Jazz have done some marvelous things. On offense, they have involved Shaquille on every single play with the screen and rolls, rendering him ineffective. He's not able to ignite the fast break. Then the Utah guards, Stockton, Hornacek, Anderson, Isley, they never get caught underneath the basket. basket. They never get caught along the baseline, which allows the Lakers to race out there. Then maybe most importantly, though, it's been Utah's ability to get the Lakers to play that stand-around, post-up game where everybody else is watching Shaq. 1-on-5 never gets it done. Right now, all of Utah's dreams have come true. And, Tom, they're nightmares for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, history says that the Lakers are in deep trouble. Since they moved to Los Angeles, they have trailed in a playoff series 3-0 3 times. And all 3 times, they were swept. Hannah?
Thanks, Tom. In fact, no one has ever bounced back from an 0-3 deficit to come back and win a playoff series in NBA history. The Lakers' defense is not getting it done against the Jazz. Utah was the best shooting team in the regular season. They are shooting over 52% in this series. How has their offensive execution been so effective, Matt?
Well, they do it better than anybody in the business, and they've been doing it so long. The pick and roll, the pick and pop has been a mainstay of the Utah offense seemingly forever. Now, a lot of this is poor Laker defense, but because the Utah Jazz do this so much, they read the situations. Shaq involved in the rotation doesn't get out there. Now, Antoine Carr in Game 2 going to free up John Stockton. Shaq going to show out well, but Eddie Jones falls asleep as the next man in rotation on the baseline and gives Antoine Carr a wide open look, a big basket in game number 2 victory. And then the bone crusher last night, John Stockton coming off hard, drawing the next defender, and then Eddie Jones once again takes himself out of the play, and Brian Russell takes care of the rest.
Do you agree that they've been too dependent on Shaq?
Yeah, I do. I really think they throw the ball in the Shaq and they just wait for the big fella to do something, but no one else is doing anything. Those guys are sitting out there, not in a position to shoot, not wanting to score, not being aggressive like they did in the last series. Throwing in the Shaq, of course, he's going to get 39, he's going to get 40 because he's a great player, but other guys have to step up.
Well, apparently, Peter, all those Laker enthusiasts were wrong after the Seattle series when they penciled L.A., that red-hot Laker team, into the finals.
Didn't John have them a living lock for the finals? Even before they decimated the Sonics. But we all overlooked what the Jazz did to the Spurs, beating them in 5 games, the same way the Lakers took care of their opponent. And the Spurs were the best defensive team in the league. You've got to love what the Jazz are doing. It's a no-frills team. It's no gimmicks. It's no frivolity. It's Jerry Sloan at his best. That's why he's my hero.
They have progressively played better as the playoffs have gone on after struggling against Houston. And if they can wrap it up tomorrow, well, the earliest the finals could begin is next Sunday. That would give the Jazz 6 days rest and no travel save for coming home from Los Angeles. Our coverage begins tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Time with NBA Showtime. Tip-off for the Jazz and Lakers is just after 3:30 Eastern as Los Angeles tries to stay alive in the series. Then on Monday, a special Memorial Day telecast, Game 4 of the Bulls and Pacers. Our coverage starts at 3 o'clock with Showtime. Tip-off is just after 3:30. When we return, we'll talk about the first half in Indiana between the Bulls and Pacers. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA.
Who can wait?
At halftime, the Bulls lead the Pacers 56-52. We want to talk about the first half and mention the turnovers. Indiana averaging 23 turnovers in the first 2 games. They have 9 in the first half, and the Chicago Bulls have 6. So Indiana doing a little bit better job taking care of the basketball. Now, Coach Gukas, you said they had to come out, attack, and be more aggressive. Indiana did. How do you think they fared in the first half?
I think good early, not enough for the duration of the first half, but we talked about forcing that action to alleviate the pressure of the Bulls defense. And it doesn't always have to be in half-court situations. It can be out of the fast break. When Antonio Davis early in the ballgame, I should say Dale Davis early in the ballgame, gets a defensive rebound, outlet to Mark Jackson, but Reggie Miller out ahead of the pack, going to get down to that corner, and it looks like the Bulls are in pretty good position getting back on defense, but because Mark Jackson just does not come down tentatively, really forces hard, and you're going to see Michael Jordan have to step up and help Scottie Pippen, and in so doing, that leaves Reggie Miller wide open in the corner early in the ballgame to get him off, get him going with a wide open three-point shot. And then we also talked about the Pacers just playing basketball. Don't always rely on structure. Here, Mark Jackson coming off. Quick ball movement to Chris Mullin, and Rick Smith, not that much involved in the first half, has to do more of that, catching deep in the paint. And then Mark Jackson on a set play with Scottie Pippen expecting the set play to be run. Mark Jackson just blew by him, taking it right to the basket.
John, you said in the pregame that Reggie Miller had to come out with a different attitude here.
And he showed that he came out. He only had 8 shots in this half. I know he's probably going to shoot about 14 more times, but he got 9 points. He's second leading scorer right behind Michael Jordan. Got very aggressive in the beginning. He said, hey, I'm at home. I got to do what I have to do in order for this team to go on to the next game.
Well, as Bob Costas told us, Phil Jackson's biggest concern, Peter, was that they would be able to withstand an early home court surge on the part of the Pacers, and they did a good job.
Well, they also had to withstand an early surge at their arena because the Pacers have jumped out to 3 straight leads, 14 points in the first game, 9 points in the second game, and 7 points in this game. But the Bulls have taken their best shots and dusted themselves off. And what happened? I mean, they have lapses like everybody else. Their lapses just don't last as long as everyone else because they put the ball in Michael Jordan's hands, and he's been known to cure a few ills and correct a few mistakes.
That's right. And their best quarter has been the third quarter thus far, so the Pacers may not have seen the best of the Bulls yet in this game today. And a quick note, since the conference finals went to a best-of-7 format 40 years ago, there has never been 2 4-game sweeps in the conference finals in the same season. The Jazz and the Bulls are looking to change that. Chicago leads Indiana by 4. We'll send you back to Market Square Arena for the second half after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Phil Jackson said he wanted his team to be able to withstand an early Indiana surge. The Pacers came out, hit their first 7 shots from the field, but by halftime, it's the Bulls leading by 4. Back with Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas. We take a look now at the Miller Lite halftime stats.
Well, Bob, the trends in the first half, you see for Chicago, only 4 steals after averaging 17. Interestingly enough, Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc 7 for 9. Michael Jordan 5 for 14, so they sort of picked up for his poor shooting in the first half. Indiana shot the ball exceptionally well with 57%. Rick Smith's only 2 field goal attempts. I still think he has got to get himself involved. He's got to be more aggressive. He's got to demand the ball.
And Doug, when you look at the Indiana leading scorers, Reggie Miller has stepped up, shooting the ball extremely well. Mark Jackson is shooting the ball well. The scoring is really spread out. You see Reggie Miller getting his shots mainly from that corner. They're going to have to free him up a little bit from the perimeter up at the top of the key. And when you look at the Bulls again, it's Michael Jordan, their leading scorer, and the others have 21 points. Tony Kukoc is giving them a spark off the bench with 10 points. And as you said, Chicago is a team that relies on Michael Jordan, and time again, he delivers.
And here's more bad news for Indiana. It's been the third quarter in which Chicago has really put them away in the first 2 games. We'll be back.
Ahmad Rashad back at Market Square Arena. Larry Bird told his team at halftime they've been in this situation before, right in the game at the halftime, just to stay aggressive and keep doing what they're doing. Phil Jackson told his team that they're giving up too many offensive rebounds. Try to keep the team off the board. Also, keep the pressure on the ball and offensively keep moving to try to stay away from that double team. As far as Scottie Pippen is concerned, he has a bruise and an abrasion on his hip, and he is expected to play in the second half. Bob?
In fact, as you turn to your right, Ahmad, you almost bump into Scottie, who's about to inbound the ball.
Matter of fact, he is playing. He's right here next to me.
Scotty's getting hit by everybody today.
We told you about the third quarter surges for the Bulls. Here's the evidence. Now, this is through the first 2 games, so you'd have to update the first and second periods, but they've really jumped on them in the third quarter in the first 2 games at the United Center. Michael turns to face the basket. Mullen on him. Bounces to Pippen. Michael to the dribble. Has to chase it back down and force it up. Way off. 24-second violation.
You saw the Pacers come out now in the third quarter with Chris Mullen guarding Michael Jordan. Now, we know he does not have the foot quickness, but he has exceptionally quick hands. Maybe he can bother Michael's shot before he brings it up. Will also maybe free Reggie Miller up to be fresher at the end of the game.
It's still Pippen on Jackson.
You see Rodman ran up that time and called the pick out for Scottie Pippen.
Mullen around Michael, trying to go to the hoop, has it knocked away. Harper appeared to touch it last as it went out of bounds.
Now, at the end of the second quarter, Doug, Indiana did an exceptional job of handling Chicago's surge. Let's see how they handle this third quarter, because those are the 2 things that Larry Bird talked about.
8 on the shot clock.
Smits. And his pass knocked back in his face by Pippen. There's going to be a shot clock violation, and there it is.
The Bulls' quickness has really befuddled Rick Smits. That time, Scottie Pippen right down in his lap, and Isaiah talked about it last Sunday. Big men don't put the ball above your head. The minute he did that, Scottie pushed it right back at him and got the shot clock violation.
You know, the few times I did play against Bill Walton when he wasn't hurt, the thing that he was really so good at was keeping that ball under his chin and extending those elbows.
Miller rebounds the Jordan miss. Reggie to the corner. Inside to Davis, who tries to find Smits, but he loses it. Michael back. Mullen cuts him off and fouls him. I don't think it's overstating things to say that right now the Indiana Pacers are beginning the most important half of basketball of their season. It's been a great season in which they've won 58 games. They blew by Cleveland and then New York in the playoffs. They've been competitive with the Bulls, but they're down 0-2 in the series and down by 4 on the scoreboard in Game 3 at home. Michael finding Longley, a tangle of bodies, the ball out of bounds, and a 3-second violation against Chicago. No team has ever come back from an 0-3 deficit. As a practical matter, if the Pacers can't defend their home court today, this series is over. Jackson into the lane, dishes to Smits, baseline jumper is good on only his 3rd field goal attempt in this game.
The reason why Smits got that baseline jumper is because Scottie gambled, which left the penetration lane open for Jackson, and he hit Smits in the corner.
Harper passes up an open shot, instead finding Michael. Having trouble with his dribble, and now Mullen has the steal. Racing to the basket. Michael trying to get back, but Mullen lays it in. And Phil Jackson is all over Bernie Fryer. Technical on Phil.
That was a calculated move on Phil Jackson's part. He wants to whistle in this 3rd quarter. He protected his superstar, took the technical foul. Let's see how now his team responds to this. Michael Jordan, coming off a screen, was bumped, and he sort of slips as he goes around, and then he mishandles the ball. I do not think that was a foul. I think Michael just turned the ball over. Chris Mullen again with those quick hands and the easy score. The Pacers need more of this, but let's see how the Bulls respond. You see Phil is out talking to Bernie Fryer, saying he had his arm on him. I want the foul. Bernie says, I'll give you one, but it'll be a technical.
We're tied at 56.
Miller Genuine Draft presents even more basketball.
The Pacers needed a strong start here in the 3rd quarter. They forced Michael Jordan into a shot clock violation. Then Michael misses the medium-range jump shot. Chris Mullen with the steal and the score. So the Pacers have come out and answered the challenge. More importantly, the 2 field goals have been scored by Rick Smits and Chris Mullen, 2 of their top 3 scorers that they need production from.
And in recognition of this look inside the game, Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Here is Chris Mullen, a 94% free throw shooter, the league's best, missing the technical. So the tee didn't cost Phil Jackson.
Now, you know the method of operation of Michael Jordan. He felt like he's been bumped a couple times. What does he do? Normally, he takes the ball right to the basket and puts the onus on the official to call a foul.
And here's Pippen cutting, and Longley finding him with a nice bounce pass.
The Indiana extended their pressure to full court, and when you extend your pressure to full court against the Chicago Bulls, they have natural press releasers, and that's why Scottie Pippen got the back cut dunk.
Reggie got it. A 2-point basket, tying the game again at 58, and Mullen swats it out of bounds. Harper from Pippen hits the open three. Chicago by 3. Miller on the run, scoops it up, no good. Loose ball to Pippen. Michael against Mullen, blows by him and lays it up, no good, but a foul.
As you pointed out, Doug, every time that Jordan gets the basketball right now, he's going to drive it to the basket. Sees Chris Mullins, who's a weak defender, knows he can take him, takes it right to the basket, gets the foul, and he's right to the free throw line.
See, those are the things great players do, though. Your tendency sometimes, if Mullen gives you space, you say, I'll take the little 10-footer. No, I'm going to drive it in there. I'm going to make them call the foul.
Michael with 17. Only 5 of 15 from the floor, as you saw. Jackson cut off by Rodman. Still working. Throws up a hook and banks it in.
Bob, a little subtle thing. They run screen roll that time. The Bulls switched it. It puts Dennis Rodman against Mark Jackson. He plays one-on-one basketball.
Mullins on Pippen now. Miller's on Michael. Harper into the lane on the run, and he hits the hook without benefit of the glass.
At this stage of his career, Ron Harper reminds me so much of Dennis Johnson. He accepts the big challenge defensively, and he'll always step up and make the big shot.
Jackson falls, but a foul on Pippen.
We see Michael Jordan right now giving Rick Smits an earful off the ball as Jackson was driving. Smits came over to headhunt Michael. Michael did not like it and let him know.
3 on Pippen. Jackson accelerating, ball knocked loose. Pippen has it. Harper sprinting back, but the Pacers recover. Pippen, the pull-up 3. Off the back iron, but there's Longley. Harper has trouble with the dribble. Longley missing short. And it went over the backboard apparently, and will belong to the Pacers. Trailing by 5. Smits wasn't looking for it, but knows what to do with it once he catches it. Misses the wide open jumper.
That shot will be there for him because they're going to push the screen roll baseline. So Rick Smits will be aware he'll get that little 15-footer. But Bob, as you so aptly pointed out, he wasn't even ready for the pass. He saw it at the last moment, had no shooting rhythm.
He was looking the other way for some reason, and there he was, wide open.
I guess he's saying, you know, I haven't touched it the whole game. I didn't know what's coming my way. But they've got to give him some touches in there. He's a 16 to 18 point per game scorer for them.
Harper misses short. Flat-footed rebound to Dale Davis. Jackson. Smits. Short. Rodman is there.
I'm watching Reggie Miller. He's limping pretty bad. Now, when Chicago sees a wounded duck, they usually will go at him.
Michael from behind the arc. And Indiana pays. They left him alone. And Chicago's lead is now 8. Larry Bird asked for time. Probably a combination of the deficit and the fact that Reggie Miller is limping.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that whenever you feel good, it's Miller time. By Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours. And by IBM, solutions for a small planet.
State Capitol in the background as we come back inside Market Square Arena. And here's how Reggie Miller got hurt a few possessions ago.
You know, Bob, you can't tell. It's not like he rolled his ankle or anything. The trainer's working on him right now, so we'll find exactly what it is.
Ahmad knows. Here he is.
All right, Bob, Reggie Miller did twist his ankle a little bit, and what's happening is he's having the ankle re-wrapped over the outside. He's got a wrap on the inside. Now he's re-wrapping it over the sock. Then he'll put on a protective device, and he'll be back in the game. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. Just inside 6 minutes to play in this third quarter. Pacers with the ball and trailing by 8. Longley reached in, knocked it away from Smits, but is hit with a foul, which is his 4th.
I watched that play coming out of the timeout. The Pacers love to curl Jalen Rose over Rick Smits and then post him. And Luke Longley has done a tremendous job after that curl, working his way in front of Rick Smits so they cannot make that entry pass. And what's happening is Smits is giving up his spot on the block and sliding further out on the floor.
This is one of the loudest arenas ordinarily in the league. The fans have been taken out of it a little bit with Chicago up by 8. Smits turns and hooks. Could have been a three-point play. Wennington, who replaced Longley, is immediately hit with a foul of his own. Tomorrow, coverage of the NBA Conference Finals continues at 3 Eastern with Showtime, and it's Game 4 from the Forum, the Jazz and the Lakers. Los Angeles at this point just trying to stay alive. On Monday, a Memorial Day special begins at 3 Eastern. NBA Showtime again. Then it's Game 4 of this series between the Bulls and the Pacers.
You know, Doug, I watched the interview that Magic Johnson had at halftime about the game, and I was just as shocked and disappointed as he was that Los Angeles came out with the lack of intensity that they did.
And how about the great execution by the Utah Jazz and the bench play? Shandon Anderson was terrific last night. Chris Morris, great play from the bench.
Rodman to Wennington. Now it's Pippen. Smits taking him on a switch. Misses the 3. Smits can't handle it. Rodman comes away with it. And a fresh 24 for Chicago. Harper for 3. And the rebound to Dale Davis. Jalen Rose with Jordan guarding him. Finds Smits for the little hook that's good, plus the foul.
Very smart. I thought they should have done this in the first half. The minute Wennington came into the ball game, you've got to go at him. He cannot match up against Smits. Longley's done a magnificent job. Now Smits with back-to-back opportunities. He gets fouled the first time, and this time the opportunity for the three-point play. Keep going to him. Run your offense through him. If they double team, let him pass out and find the open shooters.
And Doug, he has a tendency to start slow in series. He started slow in the New York series, finished strong, and he's been coming on in this series.
Longley's sitting with 4 fouls, but that was 3 on Wennington. So both centers could be headed for foul trouble. Longley's already there. Wennington. Rodman battling on the boards. It's Pippen who has the loose ball. Smits with the block. Rodman trying to save it. And it's out of bounds to Indiana.
So they're really battling underneath. Look at the intensity. Watch Smits as he blocks Scottie Pippen in the fight for the ball. Dennis Rodman pushing, shoving. They're under there. They're battling.
And that was only Rick Smits' second block shot of this series. They need more of his interior presence.
Pacers back to within 3, and Jackson can't make it 1. Got through the defense, but couldn't hit the shot. Pippen's open. Here's his 3. And a big one.
How often have we seen that? You miss a layup to hit a 3. That's a 5-point swing. Instead of down 1, you're now down 6.
Around Michael, lays it up, no, tip try won't fall. And now Chicago looks to add to a 6-point lead. Michael is fouled by Rose.
You know, Indiana is starting to get frustrated, and I watched Larry Bird as he took a glance up at Michael Jordan. It must be really frustrating for him because he knows that the guy that he's playing against right now has the same killer instinct that he had as a player. And when you look at Jordan and you look at Bird, Bird right now is coaching against his own mentality.
Bird's Celtics eliminated Michael's Bulls twice from the playoffs, but that was before Michael and his team were in full flower, and that was when Boston was one of the great teams in NBA history. They swept them in both '86 and '87, and that included the game, the double overtime game, in which Michael scored 63. Larry had 36 with 12 rebounds, and the Celtics still won the game in double OT. Wennington hits the open J.
Now what Wennington does to Smits, he pulls him out on the floor. He shoots the ball like a small forward. He had 6 big points in game 2 and stepped in and done a nice job here again today.
Travis Best with Randy Brown guarding him. Jalen Rose off to Smits. 5 seconds to shoot. Rose has to force it and hits it. Pippen, a leaning jumper that reestablishes an 8-point Chicago lead. Best on the run, flips one up wildly, and there's a foul. The Bulls have not jumped on the Pacers in this third quarter to the same extent that they did in Chicago, but they have doubled what was a 4-point halftime lead. Smits out. McKee is in. They've got both Davises. Travis Best, who's on the line. McKee and Rose on the floor right now.
And Phil Jackson with this lead is resting Michael Jordan, so he'll probably ride out this quarter with Scottie Pippen, let him carry this team, and then come back to start the fourth quarter with a rested Michael Jordan. When you have the dynamic duo, you can do those kind of things.
And if I'm Larry Bird right now and I just put in Antonio Davis, I wouldn't take him out for the rest of the game. I would ride him because he's playing so well.
Best cuts it to 6. Pippen into the lane, on the run, left hand, no. Burrell, and they'll set it up. Rodman with a jumper, and what do you know?
Rodman took his time. He faked 2 passes, turned around, said, okay, you're going to give it to me? I'll get my feet together and I'll knock it down. Surprise, surprise.
Best running out of time to shoot, and a whistle, which has Randy Brown clutching his head in disbelief.
See, watch the fake pass, then I'll give you another look, and watch as I turn around. Oh, you're not going to guard me? Well, I think I can make this shot. And he reacts, surprise, surprise.
We saw that look a few years ago, but Michael had hit 6 threes when he threw that look at us in the finals against Portland the one year.
Travis Best, third-year man from Georgia Tech, is back at the line.
Now, what Travis Best has to recognize is that Scottie Pippen right now is guarding Antonio Davis. They should post Scottie Pippen up and throw it into Davis and let him use his strength.
McKee on Pippen. Scott Burrell has it. To the driving Randy Brown. Misses on the run. but it pops back to him. Out of bounds to Indiana as Brown couldn't control Rodman's pass. Last minute of the third. And a foul away from the ball.
McKee put an elbow right in Burrell's face as he was trying to post up, and Burrell pushed him off and got called for the foul.
Tonight, NBC kicks off summer with the comedy about the ultimate summer camp. Christopher Lloyd stars in Camp Nowhere, followed by Profiling, beginning at 8, 7 Central tonight on NBC.
The free throw line has been good to the Pacers in this third quarter. Best has been there, made a few. Rick Smits has made a couple. Now we see Derek McKee. It's keeping them in the game right now, staying close.
Antonio Davis clears the rebound. Best for three. Rose for three. That's what they had in mind. Suddenly, a two-point game.
The hustle plays of the Davis boys on the backboard. The missed free throw, kick it out to Best, misses a three. Antonio Davis with the rebound. The three-point play opportunity. That was a four-point possession.
Pippen. Intercepted by Rose. Here they come, 2-on-1 if they hurry. Rose to Davis. Tie game.
And that was because Antonio Davis jump switched on Scottie Pippen, forced him into turnover.
Randy Brown out to Harper. Harper to Brown, but wait a minute. There was a whistle which could barely be heard over the crowd, and a traveling call on Harper. So now the Pacers, down 4 at the half, down 8 only a moment ago, have a chance to take a lead into the fourth period. Indy on an 8-0 run with Michael Jordan on the bench. 3 seconds, gotta hurry. Travis, you don't get it off. Tie game with 12 minutes left. 12 minutes for the Indiana Pacers to keep their hopes for this series alive. They turned the third quarter trend around. Can they start to turn the series around? We'll find out when we come back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Ahmad Rashad back at Market Square Arena. At the end of the third quarter, Reggie Miller went back in the locker room to have his ankle retaped. They taped it out there while he was on the floor, but they taped it over the sock. What they've done is taken all that tape off and retaped the ankle. I talked to David Craig. He said it's a mild sprain, and once they get the thing taped back up, he should be ready to go. Bob?
Ahmad, good job. David Craig, of course, the Pacer trainer. 12 minutes of regulation remaining to decide this one. And here comes Reggie, noticeably hobbling as he heads back to the floor. Steve Kerr is in and on Travis Best as we start the fourth. McKee around Michael to the basket, no good. Dale Davis is fouled as he tries to follow, and that will bring one of the league's poorest free throw shooters to the line. And Jalen Rose gives him a bit of a pep talk, walks over to him and says, you can hit these.
Yeah, you saw McKee turn and face Jordan in the post, wanting a foul, but the official didn't call the foul, because when you turn and square up against the guy in the post, that's not a foul if the elbow is on him.
Davis drills it after the foul on Jordan, which was his second.
Let's take a look at matchups now. When you look at the Chicago Bulls, Scottie Pippen on the floor, Michael Jordan, and they have their other two great perimeter shooters, Kukoc and Kerr, along with Rodman. So Rodman is going to look to control the backboard, and they've got their best shooting team out there. Be aware of Steve Kerr as Dale Davis drills the second one.
A sub 50% free throw shooter, and he makes them both. Indiana with the lead. Michael has it squirt out of his hands. Loose ball recovered by Pippen. Now Rodman just before the shot clock, but it spins out. And then Rodman fouls Antonio Davis.
Now that foul was out of frustration. He was mad that he missed the layup. And in a player's mind, when you miss an easy layup, right away you try to make up for it. Dennis reached in and got called for the foul.
His fourth.
Again, they're going Derek McKee in the post against Michael Jordan. They did this in the first half.
This is the hook over him, trying to utilize the 4-inch height advantage.
See, I would go to Antonio Davis being guarded by Tony Kukoc.
Rose is on Jordan. Four on the 24. Pippen, little turnaround, no good. Dale Davis has it, but Dick Bavetta says, hold on. And now it's Rodman's turn to gloat a little bit.
Every shot that's going up, Antonio Davis and Dennis Rodman are waging some kind of battle with each other underneath the basket.
But that time, Dale Davis slipped in. Dennis Rodman slipped in front of Dale Davis, and Antonio came over his back off of Kukoc.
Second foul on Antonio Davis. Kukoc misses the off-balance shot, but Pippen dives to the floor. Kerr has it. Kukoc, mismatch on Best, and a foul.
Travis Best with the foul, his score. 2 Pacers.
That's 4 on Best.
Well, you can feel Indiana's season right now. This is when they know their season is on the line, Bob. It's what you talked about when we started the half. It was 24 minutes. It's now down to 10 minutes and 15 seconds. And they are fighting for every loose ball, giving hard fouls. This should be an unbelievably furious finish.
And Doug, when you're fighting that hard, you know sometimes you don't take advantage of the things that you should. I think when you got Tony Kukoc out on the floor being guarding Antonio Davis, you got to punish Kukoc in the post because you know he's going to take Davis outside on the perimeter.
Pippen, bleeding a bit from his left elbow, has to come out of the game briefly. That's a league rule. Can't have an open wound, and he's replaced by Scott Burrell. Michael almost had the rebound, but Best comes away with it. Kukoc makes 1 of 2. Pacers by a point. Rodman couldn't control it. Diving into the laps of the photographers for whom he only has pleasantries these days. 9:54 to play in the fourth. The Pacers with the slimmest of margins, and it's their ball when we come back to Market Square.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Powerade. You are not done. By Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. And by Pizza Hut, home of the new Sicilian pizza. Can you handle it?
We're back, and so is Reggie, although as you see, he's still limping a bit. You may have noticed the black patches on the Pacer uniforms. That's in memory of their longtime equipment manager, Bill Hart, who passed away about a month ago. He had been with the team since its inception in the old ABA in 1967. And a chant of Reggie, Reggie, Reggie from the Market Square crowd. Pippen also back in, up on Jalen Rose, who tries to shake him, shoots over him, spins out. Chicago looking to take the lead. Michael fires. Antonio Davis.
There's your matchup, Isaiah.
It was Kukoc on Davis, and Tony didn't even bother to contend with him. As soon as he got the ball in the low block, he just conceded and fouled him.
Yeah, every time you get that matchup, you have to exploit it and make them pay.
Remember now how important team fouls are in the fourth quarter. When you get in that penalty, you start shooting free throws, so it's very difficult to defend guys going to the basket when you have none to waste.
Pacers have 2 team fouls. Chicago 3. Travis Best hits it. And Indiana leads by 3. Here's Kerr. Weaving back through a crowd. Pippen with Miller on him. Scotty looking to back in. And Dick Bavetta blows his whistle.
See, Reggie Miller is really hobbling on that ledge. And anytime he gets himself into a position, he's going to foul.
What it's also done, it's changed their matchups. It puts Jalen Rose on Michael Jordan. It puts Reggie on Scottie Pippen, because Reggie, there's no way he can guard Michael at this point in time. So these matchups going down in the fourth quarter with Reggie being a little bit gimpy are going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, you saw him grab Scotty by the waist right there, because when you're down in the post, you really have to use your leg strength.
3 fouls on Miller. Here's Longley in with Rodman out. And he lost it. Scooped up by Jalen Rose. McKee is open. Antonio Davis tips it home. And the Pacers lead by 5. Timeout, Chicago.
Antonio Davis, the heart and soul of this Indiana Pacers team, he is refusing to let them lose. His energy and hustle all over the backboard, tipping it in, fighting for every loose ball. You see Kukoc can't guard him, gives him the layup, and then defensively swatting it away. Antonio Davis has supplied the energy, the emotion, and the drive for the Pacers here this afternoon.
7 points and 11 rebounds in 19 minutes today. And Jalen Rose bumps Jordan and fouls him. That's 2 on Rose.
Now that's 14 fouls. That means that the rest of the way that Chicago will be shooting free throws. That's the 8:07 mark. Let's see if they take advantage of that.
Chicago still with 3 team fouls, so they're 2 away from the penalty. Here's Michael into the lane, dumping it off for Longley. And the easy dunk. Travis Best. Larry Bird is going with him, and Best, by and large, has delivered. Long stretches on the bench today for Mark Jackson.
And this is the most we've seen Steve Kerr in this series also.
Jalen Rose hands it from the baseline.
How about Davis stepping out, driving Longley to the middle, and acting as a guard on the kick and dish.
Kukoc to Longley, but a whistle before Longley can take his shot.
McKee
on the foul. It's his 3rd.
Now you watch Davis, he'll put it on the floor, and driving it to the middle and kick it out to Jalen Rose for the easy spot-up J. Antonio Davis has the foot speed to go by Longley. And Jalen Rose has the soft touch to put it in the hole.
Don't forget the Olympic show tonight on CNBC, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, looking back at the 1992 Barcelona Dream Team. Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas joined me for that one. We recorded it about a week ago, and we think you'll enjoy it. Chicago creeps back to within 3. Longley has gone out. Rodman back in. Reggie Miller. Dumping it inside to Davis. Now Best. Against Kerr. Driving on him. And missing the runner. But McKee is there to follow with a tough hoop.
We saw the Utah Jazz bench last night be so significant. It's been McKee today. Antonio Davis. Jalen Rose and Best for the Indiana Pacers.
Miller's got Michael on a switch now, and hobbling as he is, I don't know how he can stay with him. Michael's got the ball. 2 seconds to shoot. There's the horn. And they never get the shot off.
See Reggie Miller out now on the floor. It's more of a decoy than anything else. You're still worrying about his shooting, so you got to stay attached to him, and the other guys are hurting you right now, Bob.
McKee.
Go back to that man, Davis.
You called it, and he's fouled. Rodman and Jordan had him sandwiched. And it's on Rodman, his 5th.
My first opportunity to get to know Tony Davis was I coached the first rookie game that they had at the All-Star break, and Tony Davis was on my team. And I left there and said, this guy is a guy that you would love to coach. He reminded me so much at that point in time of Horace Grant. Young, active, aggressive, offensive rebounder, defender. He's a great guy to have on your team.
The thing that I love about him, Doug, is his attitude. His never say die attitude. Every time I've watched him play, he never quits, never concedes, no matter what the score.
Larry Bird loves him already, but says, just give me 2 months with you this summer, and I'll make you an even better player. 1 of 2. Indy by half a dozen. Jordan. Cuts it to 4.
Now this is the position that Phil Jackson planned for. He wanted to be right in this position at the start of the game because he believes Michael Jordan could take him home.
Antonio Davis. Out to Miller for 3. And Pippen has it. How can you not go at Miller on almost every possession, especially because he's guarding Jordan? So it's not like you're going to your weakest offensive option. Drives past him, dumps it to Longley, and there's a foul.
Well, Bob, I'm really surprised that they're continuing to keep Reggie Miller on him because of that, because Michael's going to break him down. You see it right here. This time it's Jalen Rose and Michael knifing through the teeth of the defense. Michael Jordan knows right now they can decide whether this series is going to be a long one or a short one. And here he is once again isolating the importance of being in the penalty. You get inside, dish off to Luke Longley, and there is the foul.
On Antonio Davis, his 3rd. Longley made the 1st, and now the 2nd to cut it to 2. Best to Rose, working on Pippen. Into the lane. And a foul over the back as he tried to follow his own shot.
You got to stay away from the frustration there, Isaiah. You missed the shot, okay? You've got to get back on defense now. You can't let the Bulls continue to parade to the free throw line, because what they can do now is not only they scored the free throw line, the clock is stopped, they can rest a little bit, and they can get their defense set in the half court. All these things work against you when teams start shooting free throws.
Now, the problem that Indiana has, Doug, right now is that you got to keep scoring, because you know Chicago's going to score, and you can't rely on your defense to stop them. Now, what Indiana's betting on, that this could become a defensive battle where we can stop you and you can stop us. However, Chicago has Michael Jordan.
The Pacers have a 1-point lead. And a timeout. 4 minutes and 48 seconds to decide whether this is a series again or whether it's virtually over.
The Bulls defense, specifically steals and forced turnovers, have been so critical in the first 2 games of this series. You see what they have done up until this point in time today. 25 plus steals, plus 24 forced turnovers, plus 34 point differential off those forced turnovers. And here's what they've done today. It's been an entirely different story. -1 in steals, -2 in forced turnovers, and -7 in points off turnovers. So if the Pacers can win the game today, and it's a big if, winning by 1 right now, that will be the story.
And Bird has come back with Smits in the game, and that tells me that he understands that they need to score. And from here on, they're going to try to outscore Chicago as opposed to out-defend them.
And a significant foul, 5th on Longley, 5th on the team. Chicago now joins the Pacers in the penalty with 4:46 left.
And Indiana has been one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league this year. Could the free throw line be the difference in the last 4:46?
When you look at Indiana right now, everyone has done their job extremely well. They got 38 points off the bench. Now they just have to finish and close.
Smits can make it 3 if he hits this. Pippen has the rebound. Miller's on Scotty now, and it's Rose on Jordan. Into the lane, fade away, contact on Michael. His 3rd.
Isaiah, this is an excellent call. Watch Michael's right shoulder and right arm. He dips it to create contact. You cannot get that kind of space. That's an excellent call by Bernie Fryer. And a huge possession here for the Pacers to try to take a 2-possession lead.
Go back to Rick Smits or Miller.
How about Miller? That'll do, won't it?
Yeah, you got to put your best players in the game right now and get them the ball.
Pacers by 5 after the 3. Michael cuts it to 3. He has 24.
Now Travis Best has to be very careful delivering this ball. The Bulls are really shooting the gaps, looking for steals.
And the Pacers are going to give it back. Antonio Davis with the offensive foul. It's his 4th.
Watch Michael shoot the gap. Reggie fades. Michael barely misses that, and Reggie steps back and buries the 3. And then Michael Jordan follows it up with a little jump shot of his own to pull his team back to within 3.
If this were a regular season game, I doubt Reggie Miller would be playing. He continues to hobble. And Chicago gives it right back.
Scottie Pippen looked at Michael Jordan that time and he said, look, I've got Reggie Miller on me. He can't guard me.
But he can shoot. Pacers by 6. Steve Kerr and Best got a piece of it, and here they come. Pippen and Longley are back. Best is going to wait. Inside 3 minutes.
Davis is calling for the ball. He's got Jordan in the post. Let's see if they can get it to him. Said bring it down and punch it in.
3 seconds to shoot. It's Reggie. And it's Indiana by 8. A man who has made his entire reputation on pressure baskets in the playoffs, averaging 24, 25 points a game in the postseason. Not through the first 2, but today at home with the whole series and season on the line and hobbling through an injury, Reggie Miller has brought the Pacers to the brink of victory. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Doing it through clenched teeth. There's his wife looking on. Reggie Miller battling an injury. Has the Pacers in front by 8. It's Kerr. To Kukoc. Kerr for 3, and he was fouled by Jalen Rose, which means Kerr will shoot 3 free throws.
Now, if you're Indiana right here, you have to be extremely careful. You can't foul the three-point shooter. You watch Jalen Rose run at him, tries to get out of the way. Kerr does a good job of leaning into Rose. But if you're Indiana right now, Doug, you got to keep scoring because Chicago's going to put points on the board. You can't feel safe right now.
Yeah, you can't start celebrating too soon. If Steve Kerr makes both of these free throws after the first one here, it's going to be a 5-point game. That's only 2 possessions. So they've got to keep playing here. And like you said, keep looking to score. You can't get defensive right now.
Kerr doesn't get to the line all that often, but he's a 92% free throw shooter. Well, Mullen, who shoots 94%, missed one earlier. Kerr is now 1 of 2 on this trip to the line. Indiana by 6. As the clock winds down toward 2 minutes.
Travis Best has played since the 3:32 mark of the 3rd quarter. So Larry Bird, as we see Best go to the basket, has made the decision that he is going to be the guy to take us home. Rodman fouls out of the game on that play.
Rodman played 40 minutes, 12 rebounds, 6 points, and he's done.
The speed and quickness, Travis Best just breaking Steve Kerr down, and you see it right there. He pokes him right in the eye. No question about that foul.
Indiana asked for a 20. Our coverage, of course, continues tomorrow as we follow the NBA playoffs. We're out west. First, we go to New York for showtime at 3 Eastern. Then it's Game 4 of the Jazz and the Lakers. Utah in front 3-0 and possibly heading for a rematch with Chicago in the NBA Finals. But not if these Pacers have anything to say about it. And we're back here on Monday, Memorial Day. Again, showtime at 3. Game time 3:30. Game 4, Pacers and Bulls. Michael Jordan has 24 points on 8 of 20 shooting. Reggie Miller with a brilliant 4th period. 23 points on 8 of 14 shooting.
We talked about at the start of the game, Bob. Michael has been 38% of his team's offense in the first 2 games and has carried them to 2 wins. Today, that has not been the case. The Pacers have done a better job.
You know, Doug, when you look at Travis Best at the free throw line, Larry Bird told us yesterday that he wanted to keep Mark Jackson to about 28 minutes, and he wanted Travis Best to play the rest because he felt that they could use Travis Best's speed in this game.
He makes 1 of 2. It's a 7-point lead. Michael trying to bring him back. Kukoc for 3. It was halfway down and topped out. Longley trying to follow. Will come to the free throw line. That's 4 on Smits.
It tells you how close this game is, Bob. The ball went up there. The Pacers had 3 guys inside position, and the ball bounced around 1 extra time. All the Pacers mistimed their jump, and it fell right to Luke Longley. That's how close winning and losing is. Ask New York when they did not come up with the rebound, and Reggie buried the 3 against them.
Zeke, to follow up your point, Larry Bird said he wanted Mark Jackson to play about 28 minutes. He's played 23. And Larry has gone with Travis Best with the game on the line here in the 4th. This is Best surrounded as they press in the backcourt. But he works it free to Antonio Davis. Now Jalen Rose swatted away by Pippen. A crucial defensive play.
Well, there's no fear in this Pacer team. They're continuing to go. We saw Best the last time. This time Jalen Rose. They are not getting tentative.
That could have made it 7 again. But Pippen with the block denies them. Longley a foul away from joining Rodman. Miller for 3. That may have finished the Bulls. 26 for Reggie. Kukoc. He was fouled by Davis, and now Kukoc will shoot 3 times. 5 on Antonio Davis.
Sideline out of bounds play. You know Reggie's coming off a screen. Tony Kukoc does not switch. Scottie Pippen tried to get back in there. You switch that play. You do not let Reggie come off and catch and shoot. And his teammates just looked around at him like, Tony, you got to get out there.
And Doug, as Phil Jackson told us yesterday, he was concerned about an explosion from Reggie Miller. He thought Reggie Miller could come out and get 26 to 30 points tonight, and right now he's stuck on 26.
11 of them in the 4th. What slim chance Chicago had may have disappeared with Kukoc at the line. He could have gotten them 3 points without the clock moving at all, but he misses the first 2. Burrell comes in, Longley out. Burrell being a 3-point shooter. One of 3 for Kukoc, who has not been shooting free throws well in the playoffs anyway. Only 59% coming into this game.
Bob, if you count the playoffs this year, the Pacers are 26-0 when they score 100 points. Well, today they have 101.
And Indiana hasn't lost a game all year where they score 100-plus points.
They lose the ball, but with only a minute to go, Chicago is desperate. Pippen for 3. It's long. Jordan rebounds and is fouled, which stops the clock with 52 seconds left. Twice before, the Pacers have come home down 0-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals, in '94 against the Knicks and in '95 against the Magic. Each time they won both games at home to knot the series and eventually push it to the limit. Each time they lost on the road in a 7th game. Here it appears they'll be back to within 2-1 with a chance to draw even on Memorial Day.
Bob, they're going to see some full court pressure, though. They cannot turn the ball over. The guy throwing the ball in is going to have to be very, very solid here. The Bulls are going to come after them.
Best doubled in the backcourt, and it's stolen by Kukoc. Here's Pippen, wants a three, which could have cut it to 2, and it does. It popped out and then fell right back in. Here comes Rose, all the way to the hoop, wrapped up by Harper.
Bob, interesting, Larry Bird was calling timeout. He wanted a timeout after that ball went in. The Pacers did not see it. They threw the ball in and advanced it ahead, but you cannot fall asleep. The game is never over.
Usually you don't get a roll like that on a three-point shot.
When you're coaching and you have the lead like that, it seems like every one of those shots always go in against you.
Man. Rose now trying to give the Pacers breathing room. They're up by 3. Watch this.
See, now this free throw is big because it keeps the lead to 2 possessions. Otherwise a miss and the Bulls can tie it with a 3-point play or a 3-point shot, and there's still 2-to-1 possessions in terms of 36 seconds on the clock. So the Bulls can get 2 shots to 1 here.
Rose makes them both. Timeout Chicago. 36.1 on the clock. I don't imagine you're going anywhere, so we'll be right back. Chicago ball down 4. They have 1 full timeout plus a 20 remaining. Indiana has 3 timeouts to use. Doug, you said when this game began, for Indiana to have a chance, they'd have to limit themselves to 15 turnovers and hold Chicago to 7 or 8 steals. Indiana has exactly 15 turnovers, and the Bulls have 8 steals.
Well, they got 36 seconds here, and the Bulls are going to look to go quickly inside. The only way they'll look for a 3 here is if somebody leaves an open man on penetration.
Jordan off the dribble. Deals out to Pippen for 3. Short. Kerr swings it to Michael. That one's there. And it's a 1-point game with 23.7 seconds. So theoretically, if the Pacers can protect the ball and not add to that turnover total of 15 that you mentioned, Doug, then they would force the Bulls to foul them.
Again, what happens is you got to block out. Look at Steve Kerr. Travis Best does not put his body on him, and it gives him a second shot, and Michael buries the 3. But when that shot goes up, you got to face guard. You got to do whatever it takes, but you cannot let Steve Kerr get an offensive rebound.
Michael with 29. It's a 1-point game, and we're back after this from your local station.
Indiana leads by 1. You talk about now, they do not have to shoot. The 24-second shot clock is turned off. Look at the free throw shooters. They have great free throw shooters, but the first thing you have to do, they've elected to bring it in at half court. You must get the ball in, and you do not want to throw it to Antonio Davis. He's your worst free throw shooter.
See, I think Mullen and Smith should be on the floor right now because they're great free throw shooters.
They get it into Davis, who is immediately and intentionally fouled by Kukoc. Now, Rose did not want to go to Davis, but they were running the risk of a 5-second call. He had to get it into him.
I was a little bit surprised that Larry Bird didn't put all of his best free throw shooters out there, knowing they're going to foul. Then you can make the defensive substitution. You put yourself in a position here where your worst free throw shooter is shooting under pressure.
Even if he makes them both, the Bulls can tie with a 3.
Wow. I mean, that's just guts and competitive spirit and competitive nature up at the free throw line making free throws.
Now remember, he had the big offensive rebound against the Knicks. They were up 2. He made both free throws to seal that game. Let's see if he can finish it off by making the second one here.
A 3-point lead. Timeout Chicago. Now, coming into this game, Chicago had hit only 4 of 22 from three-point range in their 2 victories in Chicago. Today, they're 8 of 16 from behind the arc. And it was the Pippen 3 and then the Jordan 3 that brought them from way back to this point.
See, Bob, I think there's enough time for Chicago to go for a quick 2 and then foul. They don't necessarily need a three-point shot right now. But, Doug, maybe Larry Bird understands something better about his players than we do. You know, when you step up on that free throw line, you got to have a lot of courage to make free throws. And some of the best free throw shooters in the league right now who have good field goal percentages or good free throw percentages can't step up to the line and have enough courage to make free throws, and Bird knew Davis could do that.
With a little more than 2 minutes to play, the Pacers led by 8.
Well, Reggie Miller with tremendous shooting, reading the screen, fading back for the 3, the pump fake, and the 2-point shot. The sideline out of bounds play. He catches the Bulls, they don't switch it, and he buries the big 3. So Reggie has made some critical shots today. But Isaiah, remember, Matt Guokas talking about it in that New York Pacer game before. Many times the shot that hurts you is the one you don't rebound and you get the kick out for the open 3. That's what happened the last possession when they did not block out Steve Kerr.
Yeah, the last possession also, you saw Jordan trying to put it on the floor, get Jalen Rose up in the air and try to get a foul. Look for Jordan to try to do the same thing or go inside quickly to a post-up on Rose.
This is what their three-point shooters have done in this game. Kerr, remember, is the most accurate three-point shooter for his career in the history of the league.
The most dangerous man now throwing the ball is Tony Kukoc. After he throws the ball in, Derek McKee's got to recognize where he is now.
Michael. Pippen. They're looking for the 3. Now it's Michael stumbling into the lane and drawing a foul with 12.2 on the clock.
So that's exactly what you want to do with that amount of time left on the clock. If the quick 3 is there, you take it, you look for it, you see it, try to go for it, now put it on the floor, try to draw the contact, try to draw the official's attention, try to make him call a foul.
Now how big is this? That's 6 on Antonio Davis. And Davis is done, as Larry knows.
And when you look at Larry Bird again, he's playing against his own mentality when he looks at Michael Jordan. That's why the smile is there.
Yeah, because Larry would have done the same thing. He would have dribbled in there, thrown his body in there, and said, give me 2 free throws. He's done the same thing.
Yeah, it's a smile, Zeke, but it's a rueful smile after that call. Michael has made 9 of 10 at the line, just 9 of 21, as you see, from the field.
Now, if Michael makes both of these, oh, he misses. The one thing I do not have Rick Smith throw the ball in. Big guys do not make good decisions in this situation. Get all the way down the floor if you're not going to take a timeout.
.30 for Michael and a 2-point game. They get it into Miller, just the man they want to get it to, and Harper fouls him hard, sending Reggie stumbling back into his bench and bringing all kinds of glares from his teammates directed toward Harper. And Harper appeared to be extending a hand there, wanting to say to Reggie, hey, look, didn't mean it. Sorry, heat of battle.
Well, see, I like what Indiana's doing right now, Doug, because they've accepted the challenge of fighting and competing in this series. You know, they could have easily come out and accepted the loss. You see Harper knocks Reggie into the stands right there. Reggie trying to get away, waiting for the foul. No, he's going to get fouled. Harper comes and give him a nice shove, and you see Davis stand up and say, hey, we're here.
Miller. One more coming. If he misses, Chicago can tie with a 3.
Now, what they like to do in this situation, Chicago, they love to throw the long pass to Michael Jordan. He'll run to the sideline. They'll throw it high to him, going to the corner.
A 4-point Indiana lead. Michael, catch, shoot. Can't cut it to 2. Pippen rebounds. 4 seconds on the clock. Pippen is going to slam it, but that's going to do it if they can get it in. And Indiana, sweating for it to the last second, wins game 3. Reggie Miller is with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Reggie, a brilliant fourth quarter from you on the bad ankle and all, but you guys just would not give up.
Well, understanding that Chicago was going to come in here really with no pressure on them, trying to get game 3. History tells us that they're very strong on game 3s. We just wanted to come out and play with better intensity that we had down in Chicago, and you know, our bench really played great for us. It really kept us in the game, and you know, shots just started to fall for us.
A lot of people thought that this series was about over. Chicago comes there, win one, they ended on Monday, but obviously that did not affect you guys feeling that you could get back in this series.
Well, we have a lot of pride. You got to understand, we got some veterans on this team that we worked hard this year to win 58 games, and understanding this is going to be a dogfight. You know, we're going against the world champions, and we've been crying too much about the officials. I was telling the guys, just don't worry about that. Let's just come out and play hard and let the chips fall where they may.
They talked about adjustments, thought you were all out of adjustments, but you came out today and they made your adjustments with the strength you got off the bench.
Well, like I said, our bench really didn't do too much in the first 2 games, and I think they took that really personal, and they really wanted to come out in game 3 and show why we have the best bench in the league.
What about the condition of your ankle?
Well, I heard something pop, and you know, it's still hurting pretty bad, but I'm going to get some work on it, and we'll see what happens from Monday, I think.
All right, great game, Reggie.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
All right, back to you, Bob.
Wow, it was some game. And again, the final score. The Pacers win it 107-105. Mrs. Miller is able to celebrate a bit. Reggie has been brilliant at times in these playoffs, including today, but he has played without some of the bravado and gestures that have surrounded his play in the past. He's been very subdued and very self-effacing in his comments. For Isaiah Thomas, Doug Collins, and I'm Bob Costas. Now we'll join Hannah Storm in our New York studios along with John Sally, Peter Vesey, and Matt Gukas. See you Memorial Day for Game 4 of what now shapes up as a real series.